right here on this little phone is where everything started. When I say everything, you're looking at your screen right now, and right beside me, what do we have? We have a tweet, and the tweet is by Libs of TikTok. That's the tweet. Now that's a screen capture from last night. I'm actually gonna go right now and see what the current where we're at on this. You know what the current data is on this tweet. And as of now, we're talking 19.9 million. That's a lot of people that have seen this clip. That's a lot of people that have quoted it, a lot of retweets, a lot of bookmarks, a lot of everything, okay? And because of the kind of stuff I usually do, which usually deals with Hebrew Israelism, it's not like that happens frequently with me. But with this, it did, because if you look right on your screen, it's going to say from Vocab Malone Urban Apologetics, 11:07 a.m., May 11th, 2023. Well, if you go back in my phone to the date of when I watched this episode with my son and recorded it from my phone, the date there is May 4th. So that's on my phone. It's May 4th. This is the original video that got retweeted by Libs of TikTok after I put it out on Twitter. And then we had I can't believe how much it blew up. Let's look at the screen right now and see the current data. Let's see what's going on with this. Here, we're going to flip over here. We're on the Libs of TikTok page. Okay, let me do this. Here, let me take off the screen capture there. It's a little confusing there. And let me put it only on my view so you can only see me. Okay. Come on now. I think I've got it. Okay, so this is the Libs of TikTok, Twitter, and you hey, shout out to the live chat real quick. I see everybody coming in. I appreciate you guys. I anticipate we might have a little more people here than usual. Either way, much love to everybody. And I'm just going to leave that guest slot open as of now. But let's take a look at this. Okay, we're going down to the Libs of TikTok. 2.1 million followers. Okay, that's obviously a lot of followers that they have. And I know it says Libs of TikTok, but it's a Twitter account. And it's got like a similar symbol there as the Twitter symbol, right? And we're going to go down. We're skipping all this stuff. To get to the tweet. And this is it. Well, that was actually Megan Kelly commenting. May 11th. So you saw I had it on my phone first. Now it's at 20 million. So let's look at the stats here if we can on this. 20 million views, 13.7 retweets, 4,500 quotes, 59,000 likes, a lot. Now, if you look, this says right here, from Vocab Malone Urban Apologetics. Now, shout out to Libs of TikTok for actually citing the source, because a lot of people have shared this. Some other places, not as big as Libs of TikTok, they've shared it, and they didn't give any credit. Now, this was first introduced last fall. This character we're going to talk about, who's a non-binary transformer. This character was introduced last fall, winter. Well, I actually talked about it back then on Twitter. So look at this, December 20, 2022. So I commented on this and talked to Libs of TikTok. Now, Libs of TikTok DM'd me and asked me what's the source for this. So I gave him the source, which was the season finale, part 1 of the season finale called Home. Okay, this is Transformers Earth Spark. You can watch it on Paramount Plus. It's aimed at 6 to 11-year-olds. And it's got Optimus Prime here in what I would call a struggle session. Can you hear it? So Nightshade is the character, and some people are like, well, at least they didn't do like an old character. Well, Nightshade has been around before, so this is somewhat of an old character. And, okay, that's fine. We don't necessarily need the audio on this. You can actually see this, because before I recorded it, What I did was I made sure that the audio had the little captions there, so we don't necessarily really need to hear the audio. But here's the first time Nightshade's introduced. This was in the beginning, and this actually made the news. People talked about, oh, look, first non-binary character. But it was very brief. It was very minimal. A lot of people may not have even noticed it, and so it wasn't... it wasn't that big of a deal. Now in the season finale, they put in a much more in your face, on the nose scenario. Okay, and I know you guys can't see me right now. I'm trying to fix that. A much more in your face non-binary discussion. But this is the first time, so it didn't really make the news. It wasn't known to be a big deal at this point. It was very minor, you know. But now it has caught in the news. Hold on, I'm annoyed by the fact that my camera is not cooperating here. Just give me a second here. And while we're doing this, shout out to, we got the very first super chat, Purely Grounded. Thank you very much, Purely Grounded, for your support and for the super chat. Appreciate it very much. Well, I'm going to take this off for now, since you can't even see. And look at the caption, what it's actually saying. Do you see that? Do you see what it's saying? Read it. Read what it's actually saying. Do you guys see that? Yeah. He doesn't know what to call Nightshade. So he's struggling. This is Optimus Prime. He's struggling. And then the human character says, Nightshade's pronouns are they, them. He or she just doesn't fit who I am. So he apologizes for that microaggression. It was an accident. He didn't know Nightshade's proper pronouns. This is the first non-binary, I guess, transformer. These are called Terrans, because these are Autobots that are born actually on Earth. So this is a new thing that EarthSpark's doing. So he apologizes there. But notice I tweeted this back in December, and the reason why I'm focusing on this right now on your screen, what you can see there, is because a lot of people were like, oh, look, the conservatives just now caught wind of this. They're so behind the times. Well, that's irrelevant, really. That's not true. Back in December, I put that. Now, you can probably guess what I was tempted to put. I was tempted to putting the trans in Transformers. But I felt like that was a little bit of a dad joke. And I just said, you know what? Nah. So instead, Optimus Prime out here using they, them pronouns for Transformers. And that's the clip. It's very brief. Optimus Prime then corrects himself after being corrected by the child and says, please switch there. Peace. And you notice that's very early in the season. Season 1, Episode 9. All right, of Transformers EarthSpark. It's going back versus the last one's the finale. And I'm going to flip back over to myself real quick here so you can see me, hopefully. Oh, it's still not letting you see me. What is going on today, ladies and gentlemen? Just give me a second. I'm going to have to work through this here. That's so annoying that it's doing that to us. Okay, there we go. My goodness. So this is something that's quite insidious. This is quite insidious. What these writers do, these showrunners do, and this is not a guess. I've actually heard interviews where they talk about this. What they do is they might mildly introduce something LGBTQIA+ in the beginning of the season, maybe. Or they don't. And they wait until the latter part of the season or perhaps the next season to capitalize or expand upon that. What it does is, if you're not inclined to be okay with gender bending and gender is a spectrum type mentality and all that kind of talk, and here we're talking about a kid's cartoon, by the way. If you're not inclined to be interested or okay with that, you're bought into the characters. Once you're bought into the characters, it's like they've hooked you, they've got you. Then this stuff comes in. And some people basically feel like watching a TV show is an investment. Well, I've watched this far. I've got to find out what happens. I remember I felt that way one time when we were on a road trip for basketball. I played JV. I never made it to varsity, but I played JV in high school. So I'm on the JV team, right? Which means I didn't play my senior year, because you can't be a senior on JV. Anyways, so I'm on the JV squad, and we go out And I forget where we were, but we stopped for some snacks. It was a road trip. We were playing some teams kind of far out for some 2-day tournament type thing, right? And they had NBA Jam, so I loved the NBA Jam. I wanted to play it real quick, so I put in some quarters and was playing my buddy. Well, we already had to go already. And I was like, well, just let me finish this game. And the coach was like, no. Hey, you already spent the money anyway. And he was right, but I was frustrated, meaning I had already put in the quarter. Regardless if I stayed there and played it, it is already spent. Now, I wanted to enjoy the quarter. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that with these shows. I know you guys are out there watching these shows, and you're like, well, I've invested. I've seen. You just got to let it go. You've already spent the quarter. You know what I mean? You've already watched what you've watched. You've already paid for the streaming service. You don't necessarily need to finish. And that's one of the ways we can send a message. That's one of the ways we can send a message is by canceling our subscription services. And people are like, oh, conservatives and cancel culture. We're not saying you can't have a streaming service. We're not trying to shut down your streaming service. We're just saying we don't want to support that streaming service anymore. And did I put my money where my mouth is? Yes, I no longer subscribe to Paramount Plus. I did. In fact, I've unsubscribed to almost every streaming service. Now, a few of you out there in the audience still do, and I'm not going to beat you up about it. In fact, some of the streaming services I've access to is because some of my friends like you have shared me the password and stuff that you're allowed to do. I'm actually okay with that because I'm not going to bang on someone else, but I'm just like, I don't want to spend the money. But hey, give me your passwords, please. I just canceled Disney Plus, but I still want to watch some of that Star Wars stuff. Support to the ministry and share me your password. I'm partially just messing around here. Okay, so let's see what some people are saying. We got Warrior Woman checking in all the way from Australia. And shout out to Warrior Woman. This show, this story got to be so big, Warrior Woman, and she knows because I shared this with her, that they were actually talking about it where? Out there in Australia. Sky News is sharing it. And so Sky News has got it, and I sent her the clip and said, hey, do you watch Sky News? Pretty wild. And she's right. We are looking for 4 more Patreon members because we've got 96 and we're trying to hit 100. You can also support on Facebook by sending stars during the live stream as well. So I encourage you to do that, please, if you can. And there's that information. Shout out to Pure Sounds all the way from Nigeria. That's awesome. We got people watching in Nigeria. Shout out to you. And I am going to play the main clip here in just a second and look at some news articles as well. We're going to do that. Don't worry. Okay. But yeah, shout out to you in Nigeria. And shout out to Benjamin Tatum. How you doing, man? And Righteous Through Christ asked me a question. No, I'm not. But there is one made, and I'll talk about it later. It's pretty dope in regards to your question. Okay. All right, so let's continue on here. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments there. Okay, so let's take this in because this is quite a thing here. We're going to go back over to this Twitter element of it. Okay, just give me a second. It's just I am having some technical difficulties today, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am. Just give me a second. Hopefully we'll work through that. Okay. All right. So you're just not going to be able to see me while I do this because of some of the technical things that are happening. But you can hear me. That's what's important, I think. Okay. So if you look at this, there's quite a conversation here, including Elon Musk. So I was part of a tweet storm because what happens is Libs of TikTok shared when I shared this video. I was part of a Twitter situation where Libs of TikTok shared it, and then I shared this earlier one as well as a follow-up, even though it was earlier. It's kind of like a prequel. And it ends up being Elon Musk actually comments on it. What a strange world. Now, I understand Elon Musk wouldn't have saw it if I tweeted it. Well, if only I tweeted it. But what happened is Libs of TikTok retweeted my tweet. They created their own new one, but they cited me as the source. Elon Musk commented. I never thought I'd be involved in any way, regardless of how tangentially. Where I would tweet something and then Elon Musk would be responding. But yet, here you are. What do you put? Computers are literally binary, LOL. Now, why is he saying that? He's saying that because of the dialogue here with the Nightshade character. My pronouns are they, them. Thanks. Now, this is a character named Sam. I'm playing the sound, but I'm showing you the audio. I know I'm safe when I'm with my friends. So the world's a scary place, but I know I'm safe. Or other non-binary people. So not parents, not family. I know I'm safe when I'm with other non-binary people. As if identifying by the pronouns they and them makes you automatically safe. And this is why some people, perhaps rightfully so, have accused things like this of as being a mild form of not just indoctrination, but yes, a word that starts with G and ends with rooming. Because it's setting up a de facto safe person as someone who is non-binary. Is that how the world works? No, it's not. That is highly problematic. So now, Sam is teaching Nightshade what it means to be non-binary. So see, the robot here, Nightshade, is sort of a stand-in for the audience. Because if a child is learning about this for the first time, ages 6 to 11, the child is the neophyte to the discussion. Sam is the teacher, older than the younger kids watching it, because this is a very young, aimed Transformers show. Not as young as Rescue Bots, but younger than Transformers Prime, which to me is peak, pinnacle TF material. So non-binary? This is the definition according to the writers. People who aren't female or male. Now listen, I must just say, and I think it goes without saying, and I think we already know it, and all of that, and it's clearly true. What goes without saying? It goes without saying that there is no such thing. There is no such thing as people who are not male or female. Ladies and gentlemen, we understand reality. We're not living in a fantasy world. And reality tells us that there are two kinds of people. Those who like the Phoenix Suns and those who don't. Just kidding. No. It's male or female. That's what you've got. That's what our options are here. Now let's continue on with this here. Let me jump back over here. But that's the definition there. There is no such thing. Only in the imagination is there something as non-binary, people who aren't female or male. There is simply no such thing. We're living in a culture, though, that is embracing madness as if this is a reality. And they're not just asking us to play along, they're demanding that we play along. And as Dinu says, XX or XY. That's it. And that's exactly right. People who aren't male or female, no such thing. If you found the bones of Sam, if she was a real person, a century after she died, you'd say these are the bones of a female, not a they. These are the bones of a she. If you analyzed her genetic code, same thing. I always knew my pronouns felt right. Help us understand how a robot has feelings about pronouns. This is definitely not Data from Star Trek Next Generation, that android. It's definitely not C-3PO from Star Wars. This definitely isn't even Spock, operating on logic. This is a robot who's talking about what pronouns feel right. Obviously, it's a stand-in for the audience in a way, as a child. What a wonderful world for a wonderful experience. Notice there, that is, what is that? A wonderful word for a wonderful experience. Tell me about that. Let's focus on that. What a wonderful world for a wonderful experience. Again, what are we talking about here today on Street Apologist Live? We're talking about Transformers Earthspark, a cartoon produced by Nickelodeon on Paramount Plus that is aimed at younger children, ages 6 to 11, Transformers is a really historic IP, intellectual property. It goes a little bit prior to when most people know it in 1984 here in the United States of America when Hasbro got hold of it. It actually goes back earlier to Japan. That's a whole story about how the Hasbro Toy Scouts basically discovered these transforming robots at a toy fair and had the money that they had earned from G.I. Joe sales to be able to buy this and license it in the United States and give it a story. And, you know, you can see back on my wall back there, posters, right? You see these? Transformers there, G.I. Joe there. I am a Generation Xer. I guess I'm called a Xennial now, which is the younger Gen Xers, although don't always feel young. But I try to be that way. You know, this isn't made up. I didn't get into this for the story. I'm a Transformers fan. That's what the posters are that you've been seeing in the background on this show. If you've come to this channel before, you've seen it. And you may wonder what this is. I'm going to show you my bona fides. I'm going to show you my Transformers toys at some point in this. Yeah, we're going to do a little show and tell. I'm going to show you my Transformers toys here, people. But it's no longer just about giant robots transforming into vehicles or dinosaurs and beating each other up, defending Earth or trying to take its resources, right? It's no longer about a long, ages-old war on an alien planet called Cybertron, where you have these autonomous robots, right? It's not about that. Now it's about non-binary robots. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. The way it's spelled Sarah, I think, is Xennial. I believe that's how it's spelled. Just look up Xennial, and you'll see it's Generation X right on the older millennial side. And that's where I am at. What's up, Orthodox Moore? I see you, brother. So look, do I throw away everything Transformers? I actually thought about that. You know, kind of a over-the-top demonstration of my disgust for this indoctrination. But then I said, I'm not going to do that. Soundwave is still awesome. Shockwave is still awesome. Starscream is still awesome. Blaster is still awesome. Trax is still awesome. Grimlock is still awesome. I don't have to do all that. But this is the current version, at least one of the continuities of this property. This is what's going on across the board in lots of children's programming. Look at me for a second. I want you to think about this. If you're a parent or an uncle and you got minors, you thought you could put your streaming service on the children's setting and walk away. You thought you could do that, didn't you? This would be playing via the children's setting. It's just not the sex, drugs, and rock and roll that you've got to worry about, is it? No. It's this. And it's across the board. And there is an insidious nature to this, where transgenderism and sort of the overall immoral sexual revolution that's taking place, especially in the West, and they're trying to drag the rest of the world along with us here in the West. There's an insidious element to it where it's determined to be in the faces of children. Determined. Drag queen shows where they do what look like strip-style dances for children. These are grown men dressed up as women doing this. You can find it all over the internet. Or encouraging young children to do similar kind of dances and throwing money at them. This is stuff that's taking place. In a more sane culture, that would be unacceptable. It is unacceptable. But there's a certain subculture within our culture that finds that acceptable and encourages it. And now it's being exploited and blasted across the airwaves all over the globe now via this kind of stuff. It's not going to stop. So we had to ask ourselves what we're going to do about it. Right? What a wonderful word for a wonderful experience. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm not going to leave you hanging, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you resources. This is something that everyone needs to start subscribing to now. The Journal for Biblical Manhood and Womanhood. It has something that's very powerful on the back called the Danvers Statement, which I do sign off on, published by the Council of Biblical Manhood and Womanhood, CBMW. Controversial, complementarian, but right. Now, in this, there's a couple articles that are important, and this is the best place to find cutting-edge, intellectual, biblical materials about these issues in our culture. Look at this. Biblical Theology and the Sexuality Crisis, the not-so-unified narrative of the LGBT movement. Because LG are one thing, but BT are another, and they're not even really all unified. Because the T says gender doesn't matter, that's not a thing. But the G says, I'm a man, I'm only attracted to other men. Do you see what I'm saying? Those things are actually at odds with each other. What would Jesus say to someone like Leela Alcorn? Very powerful article. Admonish the idle thoughts on how to motivate lazy men. A referendum on depravity, same-sex attraction, and sinful desire. You may now serve the bride, the Trinity, and gender, God's design for marriage. These are some of the articles, Gender Studies and Review. And look, here's the one. What is gender reassignment surgery? GRS, a medical assessment with a biblical approach. These are things we need to know about, not because we're so interested, not because we're obsessed, not because we asked, not because we went to school for it, not because it's all we care about, but because of what's going on in our culture. Now, it's not even called gender reassignment surgery anymore. Did you know that? They're calling it things like confirmation. It's a confirmation. They're using terms like that now to describe it. But it really is gender reassignment surgery. It used to be called sex change operation, all right? And this is a great article on this, introduces it, talks about some things, not about all things. Who is a candidate for treatment? That's an increasingly challenging issue because you have places like California willing to have the state pay for this to be performed on minors even if it's against their parents' wishes. I'm talking about double mastectomies, where you chop off the young girl's breasts. This girl can't drive, she can't drink, she can't get a tattoo, she can't vote, she can't sign up for military, but she can decide to chop off both of her breasts and take hormone blockers, puberty blockers. And the government will pay for it without telling the parents. Goals of gender reassignment treatments and surgery. Hormonal therapy. By the way, there's all kinds of health risks that come along with this, you know? All kinds of health risks that come along with this. Gender reassignment surgeries, minor surgical procedures. Genital reassignment surgery, and that's quite a long part of the article. Other considerations, global impact, and the black market of gender reassignment surgery. Evaluation, what the gospel has to say to transgendered persons. This is not a book, this is an article, but this is something I'm going to tell everyone. They need to start subscribing to this. It's not a fancy magazine. It's something to make you think. You need to be aware that there's resources that we have out there. At least become familiar with the website, okay? At least, okay? Now check this out. Let me read a little bit about this, okay? I'm just going to read a little bit about this. Minor surgical procedures. Many minor surgical procedures to alter the appearance of the face may be undertaken as a part of gender reassignment surgery. Many of these procedures will seem familiar as common plastic surgeries, but can have particular applications for sex reassignment surgery. These procedures include liposuction, lipoplasties to alter the contour of the body, especially at the waist, rhinoplasties, nose jobs, facelifts, facial bone reconstruction, blepharoplasties, never heard of that one, rejuvenation of the eyelid, and more specialized surgeries such as reduction thyroid chondroplasty, reduction of the Adam's apple, voice modification surgery, pectoral muscle implants, gluteal implants, etc. Males undergoing surgery to transition to the female sex may pursue breast augmentation, which is similar to breast augmentation in females, using synthetic breast implants. This is usually only carried out after hormonal therapy has allowed some enlargement of the male breast tissue for better contour and shaping. Complications from this treatment are similar to breast enlargement procedures in women and may include rupture or infection of the implant. Many men pursue hair removal procedures to approach a female distribution. For female to male patients, many will only undergo a mastectomy to achieve a masculine appearance of their chest. This surgery does not differ significantly from a mastectomy undertaken for breast cancer, but may preserve slightly more breast tissue, removing only what is necessary to produce a chest that appears masculine. Complications from such surgery, which aims to preserve the nipple, include scar formation, irregularities of the contour of the chest wall, and nipple necrosis, complications similar to nipple sparing mastectomies performed for breast cancer. I'm having trouble reading this. This reminds me of when I was more doing stuff on the radio versus YouTube, on Backpack Radio and Urban Theologian Radio during those days. This is going back actually going back a decade or so. Actually more than a decade and a half. And I looked into a lot of issues related to homosexuality. This is prior to the passage of same-sex marriage. And it was very challenging to have to read some of the material. I'm not saying I am perfect. I'm not saying that I'm not like everybody else. I believe all humans in some real sense are sexually broken because of our sin. I mean, look at David, right? I'm not saying that I don't experience temptation. I'm a man. Obviously, different temptations than we're talking about today. I'm not saying any of that. But I am saying this. If you're a child of God in any way, when you go through and read some of this stuff, it is very difficult to read, especially when it's accompanied by pictures or sketches or drawings, when you talk about what's being done to children especially. But this reminds me now of this sort of over again when I had to learn a lot of stuff, when I would debate not just atheists, but also people advocating different elements of same-sex attraction, same-sex marriage, all that kind of stuff. And it was very challenging to have to look at the stats and read about these things and learn about these things. Very, very difficult reading. Very difficult. It's difficult now. That's not me feigning outrage. This isn't fake fury. This is not to put on a show. And I know that if you're a believer, if you're a Christian, you know exactly what I'm talking about when you expose yourself. Now, here's the thing, though, Christian. You can't put your head in the sand, and you can't just say gross, and you can't freak out. This is the world we live in. We've got to decide how to approach it. You've got to do it in a sane, rational, loving, respectful, godly, clever, wise, winsome, articulate, accurate way. You've got to. You got to be logical, and you got to be loving. Now, that's not easy. Get my book, Street Level Apologetics, and it'll help give you hints on how to do all those things. I'm serious, by the way. I'm not going to read about the more major surgeries just because I don't think I can get through it now. Now, someone may say, why are you talking about that? Because that's the end game here, folks. Do you know the stats on kids wanting these types of surgeries now? We're talking skyrocket. Look up some articles on this about the stats about kids who identify as something else and going after these surgeries. It's not like there's no correlation between pushing this stuff and then kids saying later on, well, I actually am a girl and I want to. That's what's going on. That's the end game. That's why we're not freaking out about, oh, it's just robots. Well, then why'd you put it in here if it's just robots? Who needs representation from robots anyway? But if that's how you feel, why you got to shove it down the kids' throats? Why not keep it with the adults, huh? But that's what's going on. Now, look, I want to show you guys here. Some of these articles because this is shocking. Okay, I am having trouble. I don't know why I'm having trouble. Let me see here. I'm having trouble showing my camera when I switch over to the screen because I'm about to switch over to the screen here. You know, let me try this. Will this work? No, it doesn't work. I was trying something here. I'm gonna read some articles to you guys now, okay? But will you just give me 1 second? I'm gonna try. That's interesting. It won't let me. This is not. Why won't it let me do so many things I want to today? I need my man to help. Radar Apologetics. He knows what's going on with this. He's smart when it comes to this stuff, and I feel like I need his help because I always have trouble with this. I don't understand why it's not cooperating with me here. Just let me try a few other things here. Why? And then I'll stop. Don't worry. I really wanted to be able to show myself while we were doing this, but it's not working with me, and I don't understand why it's giving me these problems. Okay, whatever. Let's just look at this. I'm not going to be able to show my face, and I'm annoyed by that, but it is what it is. Okay, so here's the first one, okay? Here's the first one. This is BPR, Business and Politics, BizPack Review. They're after your kids. Clip from popular children's cartoon checks all the woke boxes. News commentary. May 12th. So this is somewhat just happened. And again, if you don't understand why I'm covering this, Libs of TikTok shared my screen recording from my phone. Well, I took a video of it from my living room TV, so it's on a screen recording. That's not what I mean to say. And shared it, and that's how it blew up. So I actually am part of this news cycle. And I'm going to show you this story is an example. And so I'm kind of giving the behind-the-scenes stuff here. Parents who are wary of the progressive influence on their children may want to take a look at the media their little ones are consuming. Twitter user Vocab Alone shared a minute-long snippet of a Transformers Earthspark episode in which one of the characters discussed her pronouns with one of the robots. Watch. I'm actually in here. Isn't that crazy? I'm still not over this. I'm still not over this. And then they share the dialogue there. And then, however, this is not the only example of the show introducing LGBTQ plus ideology to the young and impressionable minds watching it. The same Twitter user posted another video in December 2022. See, I've been on this, folks. Why? Because I watch the show with my kids, because I'm a Transformers fan, and so is he. That's how I saw this. I like Transformers, and it's fun to watch with your kids. Me for nostalgia, him because it's new. Showing the iconic Transformer Optimus Prime awkwardly navigating another Transformers pronouns. Well, it's not another, it's the same character, but they probably didn't know that. This screenshot right here, this is literally from my TV. That's my TV with my phone. You can even see the side of my wall back here. You know, I got better on this one. I didn't have any background there. It's just bizarre. Social media was quick to jump on the videos with Libs of TikTok warning they're after your kids. So Libs of TikTok hit me up, and like I said, give me credit. A lot of conservatives I've lost some respect for, not Libs of TikTok, because a lot of these conservative Twitter people took my thing, gave me no credit. You're supposed to cite your source on this stuff. And to me, it's messed up when they don't. Libs of TikTok doesn't have to, but they did, and I appreciate that. And then here's the comments, you know. Da-da-da-da-da-da, right? They love to share da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? But I'm literally there. Now, that's not the only one. Let's go and look at some of the other stories. This is Daily Caller. Isn't Daily Caller like that's like a big thing, right? The Daily Caller? Transformers show promotes transgenderism to children. May 14th, Julia Freeman. A viral clip. So this clip is considered viral now. With Elon Musk responding to it. You know, there's Nightshade, the character who turns into an owl, talking about the pronouns. And I'm on the Daily Caller website. This is not my main area of focus. Let me tell you something. Real quick here. Let me look at you for a second. I know what kind of stuff could make me be more popular in regards to what I do. If I covered more stuff like this, because I've seen the response, you know what I mean? This is not even the main thing I do. I mainly deal with the urban cults and contextualized apologetics in the city. But I feel called to that. So I'm not just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what sticks and I'm going to go with it. I'm not saying that'd be wrong if I did. If I transitioned into more political commentary and did this, I'm not saying it'd be wrong. But that's not what I'm called to do. So I'm glad this happened, but ultimately I hope it leads to an awareness of what's in children's programming. I hope that. And in the content that's coming across the media. But honestly, I hope it leads people into my larger body of work. Will it? I think it's going to be a mild transition. I think I've gained about 50 new Twitter followers off of this. You know, I'm not that big on Twitter, but I got 4,000, something like that. Hey, shout out to you. Thank you, Purely Grounded. I can't hold on to my money when I know God can use it through his witness much better than will I. God bless Vocab. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. And that was dope that you had the shirt and everything. Much love on that, you know. That's awesome. So, appreciate that, Purely Grounded. I know you're going to say, Orthodox more. Honestly, this is more important than BHIs. There's a sense in which that's true, but there's a sense in which a lot more people cover this more than cover Hebrewism. You see what I'm saying? This is a bigger thing. It's going to affect more things. I agree with that. But it's about within the economy of apologetics, and I don't mean that in the money sense. I mean in the sense of supply, demand, who's doing what. This is still more covered. So it's not just about that for me. But I can tell you, I've already seen my work on Islam and my work with this stuff has garnered the most traction. But that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not saying I'm not going to touch this stuff. Obviously, I will touch it. Look what I'm doing. But it's not going to happen. Sparrow says, can you show the video clip again? Okay, I will show the video clip again. Just give me a second. Let me look at this article, then we'll show the video clip, okay? I'm going to show the whole video clip. I'm going to play it with the sound this time, okay? Because I see your comment, and I appreciate that. So I'm on the Daily Caller. Megyn Kelly responded to this. You know, wasn't she the Fox News gal who used to be a model or something like that? Megyn Kelly responded to this. By the way, I even have Transformer Band-Aids. You guys are going to laugh. I don't care. I don't know if you can see it. That's Optimus Prime on my Band-Aid. I literally have a Transformer Band-Aid right now because I needed a Band-Aid and because my Band-Aids are Transformers. It wasn't for this show. The shirt was, but I didn't buy the shirt. I already had the shirt because I'm kind of a nerd at heart. I'm a hip-hop head. I'm a Christian apologist, but also a little nerd, and I don't care. It is what it is. And Cecilia, you can see the flag in the back, whatever. So check that out. Now, somebody wanted to watch the clip. Oh, I didn't show you Megyn Kelly responding, did I? Real quick, while I get this clip pull up, let me just show you the Megyn Kelly thing because I thought that was bizarre. You know, there we go. There you go. See that? Well. How did vocab end up on the Daily Caller?
Okay. I always knew my pronouns felt right, but what a wonderful word for a wonderful experience. Word for a wonderful experience.
And, you know, little booklets I got, some other things. And here, this is actually a comic book that I had when I was a kid. I'm sorry, a coloring book I had when I was a kid. My mom that picked this up for me. This is a coloring book I had. And sometimes I'll color this with my kids every now and then. Oh, thanks, House of Hickman. You got to hit me up, though, then. Because I do appreciate that. I wasn't joking by that, but I need your information. Let me see if... So here, this is me coloring in the modern era with my kids. It's not great. You got to understand, I was going really fast, okay? That was Wheeljack and Bumblebee, and there's Hound. What's it say? Dedicated to Leo from Dad. 9/25/2020. That's 3 years ago. And the kids would color too, Skywarp and Thundercracker. They gave them all wrong colors. So, you know, this is a coloring book I had here since I was a kid, and then I re-got it when I was older, so this isn't the same one. Dedicated to Micah from his dad. See, I like to color the pictures for my kids. You see what I'm saying? We have fun doing it, and they always think I'm such a great artist. I'm obviously not, but my kids are like, wow, how do you do that, Dad? They think I'm doing something amazing just because, you know, they're kids and their coloring is awful. It's hard to impress them now because they're older. So now when I color, it doesn't impress them anymore. But I've been in this since back in the day. You know, I get even the magazines that they have, you know, that deal with some of the toys and stuff, as well as some of the guides. Like, this is an amazing book that just goes through all the toys. It's just so fun to look at. You know, I used to buy stuff like this. I don't really buy stuff like this anymore. In fact, it got so bad, I started hosting panels at Comic-Con. So the reason I'm holding these up, I have these Comic-Con programs, is because, guess what? I hosted Comic-Con panels. And some of you, I don't know if you'll believe me. I don't know if you care. But can I show you some more of my Transformers? Bona fides? Because I still enjoy the property. It's fun. It's a cool idea. So let me show you some of the stuff that I've done here. All right. With the show and tell or whatever. And I'm going to talk about this in a second here. Here's me. Here's me over here hosting. Well, wait, it's not. Why isn't it dragging onto... Don't tell me this isn't going to work. Okay, come on. I'm going to try a couple things. And if it doesn't work, then it's... Oh my goodness. Hold on just a second here. Are you kidding me? I'm supposed to be able to drag an image here very easily. I should be able to grab a picture very easily here, but it's not cooperating, and I don't understand why. It's giving me these problems. If it doesn't do it, I may not be able to show you these. Man, this is going to be... I'll just have to take it as the... Okay, well, I can't show you the pictures. And again, I don't know why, but I'm also having trouble showing the pictures. So I can't show that. But you know what? Let's just look in these program guides then. Let's just see. Because I have to look through the entire thing because I don't have it. But anyways, if you look through these, okay. If you look through these, you'll find out that I'm here doing Transformers panels at Comic-Con, people, okay? I'm just trying to say I got legitimate bona fides. Yeah, well, it doesn't say, does it? No. Yeah, okay, we don't have time for that anyway. Let's continue our show tell, though. This is probably my favorite book. Transformers: A Visual History. This thing is so dope, man. This stuff is like art to me, you know? Lots of fun stuff. Here's some stuff we haven't even opened. I actually get that from my kids. It's Micro Machine Transformers. They haven't opened it yet, though. I hope they do, because I want to play with it, you know? Even get some cool stickers, some synthwave stickers. And this is not a throwback. This is a modern one. Transformers Lunchbox. But you thought that was all? Did you think that was it? No, I got the OG1 series on DVD. Of course, the movies, subpar, the Bayverse, but you know I still got them. And thanks to Benjamin, not Benjamin Taina, but Benjamin Handelman, I even got the Headmasters. That's the Japanese stuff. The Bumblebee movie. And yeah, I'm excited to see Rise of Beasts, by the way. Some of the video games, I'm not showing Devastation, but I have Devastation as well. Original movie, which is the best out of the new movies, except for the Bumblebee. Animated, like I mentioned before. You know, so it's not like I'm a latecomer and don't understand this property. Prime, which is peak TF. Of course, the movie, which I know a lot of the lines of, have seen multiple times in the theater. Prime, again, which is just a whole other level. There's a couple others I wanted to show you that I thought were fascinating. Let's take a look at these real quick. This was even in Newsweek. This is in Newsweek. Understand? You guys, we're talking about Newsweek. Laura Ingram was commenting on it as well. Newsweek? What? Let me show you some more of these articles. There's so many, you know, I can't keep track of, okay? There's so many that it's like, here, American Wire. And this actually is one of the stories that does also mention me. Parents who are wary of the progressive influence on their children may want to take a close look at the media their little ones are consuming. Twitter user Vocab Malone shared a minute-long snippet of a Transformers Earthspark episode in which one of the characters discussed her pronouns with one of the robots. Watch. Watch. So that's similar to one of the other ones. You can tell sometimes they copy each other. But this thing made it to Fox News. Laura Ingram tortures woke Transformers showing pronouns down kids with corrosive lies. It's a whole segment on it. Who would have thought you'd have political commentators on Fox News sharing a shot from my living room TV and the 5 talking about it? This is bizarre. And of course, it's the day when I have the most problems with my tech. Critics slam viral clip of Transformers cartoon that promotes non-binary identities. Disgusting. This is a local news station in Washington. Local. And yet, there we go. This is wild. Now, this guy, Ian Miles Cheong, he took my tweet and didn't give me credit. And I told him you should give me credit. I know he tweets conservative stuff, but it makes me not want to like him because I feel like that's wrong. But that's what he did. Whatever, bro. And I told him about it. He ain't changed it. Not one, but 2 transgender women in the next Transformers movie. Now, I don't know if that's true. They're claiming there's going to be transgender Transformers in the next movie. I don't know if that's true. The newest live-action Transformers movie, Rise of the Beast, stars character said to be quite possibly the first ever transgender character in the Transformers Cinematic Universe, RC. The comics, RC recently revealed that she was originally forged male, but later recognized her true self was female. She has transitioned to represent herself as she was always meant to be. That this will be included or even recognized in the new movie remains to be seen, however. So what they're saying here is that RC has now been retconned as being transgender in the comics. Okay, in the comics. But they don't know if that's going to show up in the movie. See what I'm saying? We'll find out. Now, I was reading the IDW comics, so I actually saw this firsthand. Mostly in the IDW comics, they're canonical Transformer robots who are either gay or transgender, according to fans. Let me tell you something else crazy. Did you know this is real? Back in the day, if you were online in the chat rooms and stuff like that, and you're a Transformers fan, they were called trans fans. And I'm not joking. Star Wars, sometimes be called Star Warriors. You know, people had these different names. Trekkies, it's considered derogatory, I guess. But, you know, sometimes the fan bases would get these names, right? Furries, whatever. Back in the day, people would be called trans fans, but no one, it wasn't associated that way. No one even thought twice. No one blinked, you know? Nobody thought that back then. Again, the characters are fictional robots, but they do usually present as either male or female. Most classic main characters, such as the villainous Megatron and series hero Optimus Prime, are voiced by men, thought to be male. So there's that. Now, they had put it in the news way back in November when it first dropped. Okay? But it didn't really go viral until I took a picture of it on my TV, you know, and then put it up on here. Okay, and so people have been commenting saying, well, this has already happened. Check this out. In keeping with, this is from Transformers Wiki. In keeping with, I don't actually want to read this. Some of this is just, it's bizarre that everything has to be sexualized and perverted in this way. This has even got carried in the New York Post. Megyn Kelly slams non-binary Transformers character who goes by they, them pronouns. You know how I can tell when it's my TV? Because it's shaking. Because on my phone, it moved a little bit. And then I have the little screen captions down there. So I know when it's from my TV or not. You know? And there it is. So I never thought something from my TV would end up in the New York Post with Megyn Kelly commenting on it. But there you go. Now, I'm going to show you the last one. Okay? This one is different. This is from a gay website, the Pink News. This is under the description box, so it ain't a surprise because I want to show everybody what they're saying about us who are saying we have a problem with this because it's forcing issues of sexuality upon children. That's the problem. And it's fictional issues. There's no such thing as non-binary. It's a made-up concept, and we shouldn't have to be forced to agree with it because ultimately it's delusional. And I don't mean that as disrespect to somebody who struggles, but we cannot affirm your denial of reality. Bigots are raging at Transformers cartoon with a non-binary alien robot. Bigots are furious at a Transformers cartoon with a non-binary robot from outer space. Do you know why they're describing it that way? They're trying to make it sound like you're crazy because you're worried about a non-binary alien robot from outer space. You see what I'm saying? It's a kind of a condescension, like a passive-aggressive. Like, oh, you idiot, why are you worried about a transforming owl? Well, we're not the one who wrote the story. You're the one, you know what I mean? Your side is the one who thought it should be put in there. We're not the one who put it in there. So why you get up on us when we react to it? Come on, man. It's real disingenuous. I've been going back and forth with Twitter users all week. It's mind-numbing. Mind-numbing. So, they've only just discovered Nightshade, character introduced in 2022. First of all, I already tweeted this back in November, so in December. I didn't just discover. But the bigger thing was just from now, when they did the big one in the season finale, okay? Look at this. This is the initial one. Notice the date. Notice the date. May 11th is when Liz at TikTok put it out. The date on mine, December 20th. All right. Another Twitter user posed the question, is this something you'd want your children to watch? Well, another Twitter user, that was me. That was the initial thing I put with it when I first put it back out about a week before Libs at TikTok dropped it. They posted a clip of Optimus Prime misgendering Nightshade. They posted, hey, they're misgendering me. I didn't realize that till just now. I'm totally furious. Another Twitter user, I'm the Twitter user because that's my caption. Is this something you would want your children to watch? They posted a clip. I'm not a they, I'm a he. I'm not non-binary. What are they trying to do? I feel totally offended. We need to sue Pink News. They've misgendered me in a discussion about misgendering. They posted a clip. There's not more than one of me. I'm not non-binary. Nobody is, by the way. Yeah, what is this? They posted a clip of Optimus Prime misgendering Nightshade, but then correcting himself once he realized they are non-binary. Oh, they can get Optimus Prime's pronouns right, but they can't get Vocab Malone's pronouns right? Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. I'm out of... What? What? How ironic. I just know that. Look at this. 1 point for representation and 0 points for the bigots. I have been misgendered. I'm going to go cry in the car. See, just need a second to recover here. In all seriousness, if you want to really teach your kids about this, this is a great book to actually talk to your children about these issues. Because we do need to talk to them. But we need to talk to them about from a biblical perspective with truth, love, care, concern as their parents. This book is for boys ages 4 to 6. I use it to talk to my kids. Why boys and girls are different. This is a great little book. I encourage you to get this. If you got young kids, this is the way to go. Not with what they got going on there. Now I'm going to finish actually with something rather serious. There's more I could say. I apologize for all these technical difficulties here today. But I'm going to read a little bit from Al Mohler's book. My dad got me this book. And he even got it signed by Al Mohler. Except he didn't put vocab. He put John Mark, Al Mohler. May you keep speaking. That's a pretty dope thing to put, Al Mohler. Romans 11. Because the name of the book is We Cannot Be Silent. Speaking truth to a culture. Redefining sex, marriage, and the very meaning of right and wrong. Let's go here to chapter 5, rather. Page 67 of Al Mohler's book. I want to read a little bit about this before we get out of here. Where is that spot here? Hold on. There we go. I'm going to talk about pronouns from this book. Are you ready? Okay. Reading from this book. As we will see, the transgender revolution presents a vexing dimension to the challenge Christian churches, families, and institutions will face regarding religious liberty. Recent controversies at a California Baptist University and Azusa Pacific University demonstrate that reality. In the case of Azusa Pacific University, a female professor and former chairman of the theology department announced her intention to become a man. She was shocked when the Christian university found her announcement incompatible with its moral code. All right, let's keep on reading this here. Just a few days later, California Baptist University at Riverside made national headlines when the school expelled a male student who appeared in the media claiming a new identity as a young transgender woman. Given California law and the government's non-discrimination policies, both institutions were put on the defensive. Furthermore, both schools are accredited by regional agencies that have had their own non-discrimination policies. When we look at religious liberty in Chapter 8, We will see that the transgender revolution poses a unique set of challenges related to admission, hiring, and housing for schools. Of course, these challenges will only escalate as the transgender revolution continues. The reality is that there is no end to the transgender revolution. Endurance is one of its central dynamics. Consider the anagram by which the organized gay liberation movement is identified. During the last 20 years, the movement identified itself as LGBT, which represented lesbians, gay, men, bisexuals, and the transgendered. In more recent years, the movement has fragmented due to the limitless radical expansions of groups identifying as sexual minorities, each demanding their own agenda, liberation, and public recognition. Alan Metcalf, who writes on academic issues at the Chronicle of Higher Education, has argued that educators learn that we don't have to conform to a label imposed on us by others. We get to choose our gender identity for ourselves, to decide whether gay or straight, male or female, in between, or none of the above. Once again, the in-between or none of the above reflects the never-ending, the never-expanding nature of this moral revolution. By combining the now generally accessible initials for recognizable sexual minority groups, Metcalf came up with the anagram LGBTQQ2IA. As he acknowledged, some gay activists have seen this anagram as cumbersome and instead opt for the anagram Quilt Bag, which stands for queer, questioning, undecided, intersex, lesbian, transgender, transsexual, bisexual, allied, asexual, gay, gender queer. Speaking of students, Metcalf simply advised, so young people nowadays have choices to make that they didn't face before. And it's not a once-for-all choice. They can question and redefine themselves at any time. The radical nature of the statement is hard to express. The transgender revolution progresses in such a way and at such a rate that an infinite series of initials can be generated to create an anagram that young people can change as they please. An endless permutation is available to them. To no surprise, the language strains to carry the weight of such a revolution. In a follow-up to LGBTQQ2IA, Alan Metcalf wrote another article titled, What's Your PG? An acronym that stands for Preferred Gender Pronoun. PGP. Here's Metcalf. This is not Moeller reading this part right here. It's a question we didn't have to answer in the 20th century. In fact, it's a question that didn't exist until recently. Nowadays, we understand that anatomy isn't destiny. So I'm going to stop right there. Anatomy isn't destiny. Now, there's one way in which a Christian could agree with that, taken it a certain way. But the way this is meant to express itself, by and large, is really rebellion against the fact that in his image he made them, both male and female, he created them. And the them is male and female. It's two. And the two become one. And they reproduce after their kind. And that's only possible when you have a male and a female. And that's why Jesus said in Mark 10:6, it was not so in the beginning. He's talking about divorce. And then he says what it was in the beginning. He says God created the male and female. So this statement by this academic and the whole transgender revolution is based upon a denial of the created order. That's why we don't need to worry ultimately. Ladies and gentlemen, I know today's been rough with some of the technical issues, and I know it's rough hearing about this stuff. But you know what? In the end, yes, Christians, we have victory in Christ. And it's not about a revenge fantasy. Pray for folks involved and confused and being deceived. Pray. But also, while we reach out in compassion, we also resist against indoctrination and lies and forced compliance, because we believe in Romans 12:2. Be ye not conformed to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of our mind. You see? So, it's a lot to take in, and we look at that, but here's why you don't need to worry. Because yes, Christ conquers, he gives us the victory, but in the end, reality will win. If you follow the basic wisdom of Scripture, regardless of how smart you are, you know what's going to happen? Wisdom will bear forth her fruits, her children, in the end. And you'll see the wisdom of following God's design, God's plan, God's way. You'll make mistakes because you're a sinner, and you'll make errors, and you'll do all that. But you know what? The Lord will prosper you if you follow his wisdom, not the wisdom of this world. And so look, reality will win, and God's the one who created reality. So in the end, we know there's only two genders. We know the DNA, we know the genome, we know the science of it. We know the reality. We know that truth will win out in the end. So continuing on though, nowadays we understand that anatomy isn't destiny. It's your choice to be called lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, or something else. Stop there. Why can't you be called anything? Let's say I said to somebody, my name is Grand Admiral of the Cosmos, and my pronouns are God and Goddess. Why would that be wrong? Oh, because you're not serious? Let's say, no, that really is what I identify as. I've struggled until I came up with those. None of the things out there fit me. I am Grand Admiral of the Cosmos, and my pronouns are God and Goddess. Why is that wrong? How can you say that category is not valid? Oh, I can only choose the categories that you say are valid? What if my experience doesn't fit those categories? I'm only asking you to call me by my preferred name and pronoun. Do you see? But it's like there's a limitation even with that. Yeah? That's not a misstatement, continuing on this quote. It's your choice, we have been told. We have reached the point that regardless of anatomy, you can choose your gender identity. And you can choose to change your gender identity as often as you change clothes, end quote. Is that right? I think we know the answer. Why would someone be obsessed with teaching kids these kinds of lies? This isn't just about treating people nice or kind. This is about something else. From this new reality emerges a question we simply never had to ask before. What pronouns should others use in talking about you? In other words, what's your PGP? In fact, the group known as the Gay Straight Alliance for Safe Schools has put out an article entitled, What the Heck is a PGP? Which provides a host of options beyond the binary he, she, or him, her choices. Listen to this excerpt from the article by Gay Straight Alliance for Safe Schools. Are you ready for this? Some people prefer that you use gender neutral or gender inclusive pronouns when talking to you or about them. In English, the most commonly used singular gender neutral pronouns are Z. That's really what it says. It really says Z. All right? Do you see that? It actually says this. This is from the Gay Straight Alliance. This is something supposed to be for kids in school. In English, the most commonly used singular gender neutral pronouns are Z, sometimes spelled Z-I-E, and her, H-I-R. Z is the subject pronoun and is pronounced Z-E-E, Z, and her is the subject and possessive pronoun and is pronounced her. I have trouble saying this. Maybe it's the way like people in St. Louis say here. This is how they are used. Chris is the tallest person in class, and Z is also the fastest runner. Z is not a different person. They're saying that's Chris's pronoun, Z. This is not parody. This is from the Gay Straight Alliance that Al Mohler is quoting. You understand what I'm saying here? Tanzin is going to Hawaii over break with her parents. I'm so jealous of her. The use of PGP is, this is Mohler again, however, not merely a suggestion on many college campuses around the nation. Rather, administrations are now enforcing policies through school legislation on speech codes that professors, administrators, and fellow students utilize these pronouns. And of course, what happens on the American college and university campus never stays there, nor is it intended to. These speech codes will ultimately trickle down to local high schools, kindergartens, and preschools. Ultimately, they may become the only acceptable mode of discourse in the public square. If things continue how they are, on every form you could imagine that you could fill out, you're going to have to put preferred pronouns. It's going to be forced upon you to identify as something. And there will become situations where you're going to be forced to refer to others in certain ways. Now, there's some workarounds that we can do. For example, If Bruce Jenner changed his name to Caitlyn Jenner, I can call him Caitlyn. That's a name change. Names don't have to be fixed things. Yes, there's generally speaking, but it's not a hard and fast rule. Pat. Remember the old SNL skit? Is Pat a man or a woman? A man's name or a woman's name? Well, it could be either. You know? I knew a woman named George. That was her birth name. She was a woman named George. But that's different than pronouns. Being forced to say Caitlyn Jenner is a woman. You see? But it's not going to end there. In fact, what will happen with this video? It could risk my whole channel. You understand. It could risk your social media. It risk all kinds of things. We don't know where this is going to go. So Christians, here's what I tell you. Be in the fight. Do it with wisdom and intelligence, but realize it is a fight. But I don't mean hurting people. Politics is not going to be our savior, but I think you should make some wise political choices in regards to these matters. But we got to be wise and not just reactionary. No one can navigate this perfectly. This is new territory. Christians did face challenges in the early days of Christianity. But frankly, this is not one of the challenges they faced. Now, they faced harder things. The emperor's not coming after us right now. Literally, to kill us. You know, Billy Graham died of old age. He didn't die because they decapitated him. You know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, and when I say they, I mean multiple people involved, like in the government, okay? I don't mean a non-binary person. But nonetheless, guys, let's keep on rocking with this. Keep on doing this. Reality's going to win. The Lord's going to win. Don't be afraid. Don't have fear, and don't have hate either. There's more to say on this, but we don't want to extend this ever. I do appreciate every single person who dropped by today, who talked. I'm going to try to go back later and take out these places where there was no audio, no sound. That's my bad. I've been trying to do some new things on Ecamm, and it's actually gotten worse, meaning when I try to do new things, it's created more technical problems, so there's been no improvement. It's been the opposite. You know, it's been the opposite. But with that, I think there's one thing I did want to do for a scene change before we end here. One is this. Should I use that sound anymore? Still an awesome sound they came up with, isn't it? I love that sound. And here's this sound too. Some of you know what that's about. And with that, let's be out. Love you all. God bless.